All right, let's get straight into it. All right, why you are broke in the richest country on earth. You work maybe like 40, 50, maybe even like 60 hours a week. And you did everything you were told to do: go to school, get a job, work hard. So, why does it feel like you're on a treadmill that just keeps speeding up? Why does your paycheck, the one you grind for, seem to vanish the second it hits your account? It's not just a feeling, it's the brutal reality for millions. And the craziest part isn't just that you feel this way, it's that 65% of middle income Americans say their income is falling behind the cost of living. We are living in the wealthiest nation on earth, yet for most people, the American dream feels like a complete fantasy. And no, this isn't another video telling you to cut back on lattes, or we're going to try to expose the real systemic reasons your hard work doesn't guarantee financial stability anymore. Not in a country this full of wealth. So uh, check out this clip. I got a couple of clips that we're going to check out.
There's so many people that need the money they paid into for Social Security. They need health insurance. They need to pay their rent. They're worried about themselves and their family and their relatives and their neighbors, and not to mention the kids in the future. How did we get to this situation? If we're such a rich country, why are so many people out there struggling? So I'm going to get into the live Q&A. We're going to continue to do. I'm going to continue as long as I'm able to do it. I'm going to continue helping people try to get the benefits they're eligible for from Social Security, retirement benefits, survivor benefits, disability, Medicare, and Medicaid and stuff.
Okay.
But I want to take a little time today and kind of step back a little bit before we get into the live Q&A. And kind of talk about how we got here. We're running out of Band-Aids. We have put Band-Aids on this situation for decades. So let's go back to the 1950s and the 1960s. The white picket fences, leave it to Beaver, father knows best. So you've got one breadwinner.
Yeah.
And then, the 2.3 kids and the dogs and whatever the case may be. And, stereotypical of the wife, vacuuming and pearls and stuff. But anyway, let's put that to the side. But one breadwinner could support the entire family. Nice house, car, vacations, retirement plans, gold watches, all that kind of stuff when they retire. What happened? Well, in the 1970s, it kind of all started to go south. And you can no longer survive with one breadwinner. So what happened? People had to put a Band-Aid on it. The other spouse had to go back to work, had to go to work. Okay, that's fine. All right. So now you've got two spouses going in there. And I'm going to talk about how these Band-Aids also, these series of Band-Aids, there's a certain element of the population that really, really profited on each one of these. So we'll get in.
So if you want to know what that is, go over there and check out Ed here. Man, he's really good. You're trying to get some Social Security or something like that, man. Go check him out, man. We definitely want to get a creator, his props, and he's definitely helping people out with social services. But the first reason you're broke is that the fundamental promise of America has been broken. For decades, the deal was simple. As companies got more productive and made more money, you, the worker, could get your fair share through higher wages. But that deal is off the table and nobody told you. But since the early 2000s, the cost of essentials like housing and healthcare has skyrocketed, while wages have barely kept up. And this isn't an accident or anything. It's a massive shift in economics called the Great Decoupling. So corporate profits and productivity have blasted off to historic highs, but the wages for the people actually doing the work have stayed nearly flat for decades. So even when your pay does go up, inflation eats it away, meaning like actual buying power shrinks or stagnates. I mean, you all see it in, the products that we eat. You tell that they're reducing prices and well, not reducing prices, reducing the amount that you're getting, from the material. But the result is that all the new wealth that's being created is like getting funneled to like the very top and not into your bank account. Um, it's the biggest reason like you can work harder than ever and still feel like you're like really falling behind. You might even get like 3 or 4 jobs and you still feel like you're falling behind. So you just never know, man. But let's take a look at this guy here. Um,
This episode of the Affluent Entrepreneur Show. This one's going to be an interesting one. Why does it seem like everyone's broke, especially in rich countries? I think there's some things that contribute to it. Now, some of this is perspective, some of it is facts and stats, but I want to make sure that you don't become a statistic. I want to give you some things to consider. Okay? Here's the thing. If we start off with just this idea of how people see money, I think that it's a very telltale sign. I have had the blessing as working for decades as an advisor, as a CPA, helping people build businesses, helping people buy and sell, build wealth, get out of debt holes, kind of recover, all those things. I had a chance to get an inkling, an insight into how they see money and the struggles they have with money. And one of the things that I noticed is that a lot of people believe that money is hard and that they should struggle financially. That's just the way of life. And it says, and I get it. You hear a lot of it in the media, and this is not to say that people aren't having financial problems. Now, I am one that says that no one has money issues. They have money symptoms. They're symptoms of the choices, decisions, and the behaviors of the past that are coming home to roost. Now, that also means that if it is a result of behaviors and choices, then if I make different choices and have different behaviors, we get different results. Now, I get that it can be confronting. You might sit back and say, no, it's not my behaviors, and you can fight it. But I can tell you that from experience, if we just shift behaviors, if we just shift decisions, if we just shift choices, things will be different. Okay?
all right, so you heard it there. The crushing cost of survival. And the second reason, right, is that the basic pillars of like stable life, a roof over your head, healthcare, education, have been like transformed from accessible goals into unaffordable luxuries. But let's start with the big one, housing. That's a national housing shortage of somewhere between like 3 or 4 million. That scarcity is like sent prices through the roof. Like, so for like 2025, the national housing wage, that's nearly the hourly pay of full-time worker needs to afford a modest 2-bedroom apartment is $33.63. And the federal minimum wage is still stuck at $7.25. So they're telling you in order to even get a 2-bedroom apartment, you got to make $33.63 per hour, right? And all they're giving out is minimum wage. And it's not just housing, the cost to live comfortably, right? Meaning you can pay your bills, save a little, and actually have like a social life and go out, has hit insane levels. Like for a single adult in a state like Georgia, you need to earn over like 116,000 a year. Even in like Mississippi, one of the lowest cost states, you need the living wage of like $20.75 an hour. Just to cover like basic needs as a single adult, nearly 3 times the federal minimum wage. But when the bare necessities cost this much, it's no wonder so many people are broke. So check this out. This is about how, oh my gosh, the our American cities are turning into slums. This is crazy, y'all. Check this out. Check this out. It's crazy. I really want y'all to see this.
Why is it so dark? And I noticed that our street light was turned off. So the next day I called the utility company figuring that the light was broken and called them up and like, hey, it's really dark. I think our light's burnt out. Can you come out and please fix it? they said, can you go and check if there's a band, an orange band around your light? And I'm like, orange band? I'm like, what's that about?
Okay.
And they're like, well, can you just go check? And so like, all right. So I walked outside and kind of ran out, and I was like, yeah, it's got an orange band. They're like, oh, your street lamp was one of the ones that they had turned off. And I was like, turned off? I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, remember that property tax increase that that you voted on a few months ago? And I was like, yeah, I think so. They're like, well, because you didn't pass that, the city has decided to turn off, a third of the street lamps. And that's also when they told us that we could adopt it.
So they said if you want your light, you have to pay.
That's right. That's right. Yep. And
I think after we got over the initial, we were just kind of annoyed and irritated. It's something that we had taken for granted. And all of a sudden, when your street is dark, the home that you live on, that you count on to, be safe, when it's gone, after a while, it just became a no-brainer for us that we would adopt the street light. They did make it really easy. I did the adoption. It was online. They took credit cards. Probably took me about 5 minutes to do.
Yeah.
And it was turned back on within,
I think
like 2 days.
It was pretty fast.
2 or 3 days.
Was it? Yeah.
Oh, wow. Have any of you guys ran into this where maybe your township or something asked you to vote on something and you said, no new property taxes, no property taxes. And they said, okay, we're going to turn off your streetlights. So if any of this is hitting home for you, hit that like button and subscribe and let me know in the comments, because I've never heard of this. Adopting a streetlight? That's crazy. This is in Colorado Springs. I don't know what to say. I'm baffled that they would ask you to adopt a streetlight. So it's time we start talking openly about this stuff. I mean, this is crazy. Let me know in the comments, what's the one cost that's absolutely crushing your budget right now? Is it rent, student loans, or something else entirely? Let me know. Now, for the final piece of the puzzle, and it's the one that'll make you the angriest. The American economy has fundamentally changed. It's no longer primarily rewards labor. It rewards capital, money. What does that mean? It means the system is now designed to make money for people who already have money. While your wages have been stuck in the mud, asset values like stocks and real estate have soared. The top 1% of the population holds a hugely disproportionate amount of the wealth. And this is why you hear the news talking about a strong economy, while you're struggling to fill up your gas tank. That growth is being fueled by a tiny slice of the population in specific sectors. For example, recent GDP growth has been heavily influenced by investment in private goods and services industries, while other parts of the economy see much slower growth. You can't pay your rent with GDP growth, and that doesn't actually, reach you. So this system creates like a permanent widened gap between those who work for a living and those who money works for them. So let's check out this last clip, guys, on
Realize you could get debt to GDP at 222.2%. Are you okay? Why do some countries choose to load themselves up with so much debt? Well, it's not the only choice, because some countries aren't in any debt at all, like East Timor, and some even have the reverse of it in the case of sovereign wealth funds, where they effectively have negative debt to GDP ratios. Money now is fun, but as everyone knows, borrowing and debt comes with interest payments. Wouldn't it be great though if instead someone else paid you interest for your money? This is effectively what sovereign wealth funds are, investing in assets that generate a return, meaning that taxes are reduced via the returns from them, instead of increased from the burden of paying back past debt. If these returns are themselves invested, then you can end up with even more growth and even more money for the nation. Compounding returns are the infinite money glitch of the finance world, and these countries started doing it on a very serious level. Norway is the most famous and public example of this, but countries like the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia are investing their natural resource money to ensure that when the oil runs dry and there are no dinosaur bones left in the ground, they'll still have oil wealth. This is analogous to a football player making $50 million a year. They can make a lifestyle out of it, or they could invest the majority and ensure that when they get too old to be useful, they'll still have an income source. Countries like Zambia didn't make this decision, and so when copper fell in price, so too did every part of their public sector. So always invest and never borrow sounds like the right path for a nation, right?
Always invest and never borrow. Okay. So why are you broke? Okay. It's not because you're lazy or bad with money. It's because you're playing a game where the rules were changed halfway through and no one bothered to tell you. Your wages have been held down while corporate profits exploded. The basic costs of survival have been allowed to spiral out of control, and the entire economic engine has been rewired to favor the wealthy over the working. The result is a new and growing class of working poor, people who have jobs but still can't afford to live. The point of understanding this isn't to make you feel hopeless, it's to make you aware. The first step to fixing a rigged game is understanding exactly how it's rigged. The American dream shouldn't be a lottery ticket. It should be a predictable outcome of hard work. Okay. If you like what we're talking about here, leave a comment. You can say, you got free will to leave whatever comment you want. It's very interesting. I love the comments. So leave a comment if you like. All right. See y'all later.